After Drake finally broke his silence following his pitiful retreat from the Kendrick Lamar issue in The Hard Part 6, he sounded shattered on the track while making a fool of himself trying to defend his name from all the accusations. Kendrick made his way in the most ridiculous manner possible, and this response was perceived as an even worse song, proving Drake was outright lying about setting Kendrick up with the scene in the Element cover, like in Meet the Grams and 616. For Drake, the best course of action seemed to be lying low for a while as the whole world celebrated Kendrick's victory. It's not like we kept playing everywhere, and with Metro booming and the whole BBL challenge, Drake's downfall in this matter became even more amusing. There really wasn't another option for Drake to salvage his reputation at this point other than to stay low and hope for a comeback when the excitement over from this moment died down. Despite all this and his own words about withdrawing from this fight, which seemed more serious than anything he had faced in years, for some reason, Drake made his return to the spotlight less than a month later. He did so by featuring on Sexy Red's new album on the 4th track, You My Everything. This collaboration, being his first since arguably the most watched feud in hip-hop history, is simply ironic. When we revisit Drake's first full album post-Kendrick, Euphoria, Lamar's bars comparing Drake to Sexy Red and saying she is Drake's real competition become even more hilarious. One would think that after Drake said he no longer wanted to engage in this feud, he would revert to his old self, just making catchy songs without much depth. While he somehow achieves this in the new track, the significant point is that this is the first time we hear from him after everything that happened with Kendrick in the entire rap game. Despite his words suggesting otherwise, it's clear Drake hasn't moved past the issue and the entire feud. In his verse on the track, he doesn't address Kendrick directly or us, but rather Metro Boomin and his viral instrumental track targeting Drake in BBL Drizzy. Instead of putting Metro in his place as he did with Pusha T using one of the most memorable lines of this situation, Drake covers the viral BBL Drizzy beat. In doing so, he indirectly responds to the claims Rick Ross made about Drake improving his appearance, which Metro turned into one of the year's biggest memes and viral challenges with this beat. In what has become the soundtrack to this humiliating chapter of his career, along with Not Like Us, Drake tries to level the playing field. He defends himself by saying he has changed girls' lives. Ultimately, he attempts to rebrand BBL Drizzy from a nickname mocking him for cosmetic enhancements to a moniker representing him as the guy who helps girls look how they want. He directly ties this to the bars, DBL Drizzy, they want a new body, they ask me for it. Though these lyrics lack depth and aren't likely to reignite any tension between the parties involved, Drake's actions here are simply ridiculous for many reasons. There is a reality where Drake could have taken this beat and thrown it back in Metro's face. Instead, trying to label himself as the Batman of BBLs is not the way to go. The challenge Metro started with this song has spiraled out of control, with people rapping over it in many different languages. Overall, people constantly approaching Drake and finding new angles to mock him over this beat has solidified his role as the laughingstock of the rap game at this moment. While the stakes here are much lower than anything directly involving Drake and Kendrick, Drake's method of response to Kendrick in The Hard Part 6, to Metro, and now to the general public remains just as questionable. Trying to explain the root of the joke to distance himself from the label only makes Drake look ridiculous. And no matter what you say, 99% of the time, it doesn't just make you look worse, it makes you seem crazy. If Drake had just dropped a few bars without rapping Metro's beat, people might have reacted differently, as it would align with any petty shots he's taken at others over the years. These typically do a good job of calling out their target without overshadowing the main message. By using Metro's beat and attempting to redefine the title, he takes what could have been a decent subliminal and lets it consume the entire moment. Beyond the song itself, it shows that Drake is still caught up in this feud, despite claiming otherwise. One reason Drake finds himself in this mess is that more than ever, since this started with Kendrick, he's made foolish moves, like his final verse in Not Like Us, which flipped his world upside down due to his attempts to defend his name. Now, rapping over BBL Drizzy shows he's out of touch with what resonates with people. He continues to misjudge what listeners respond well to and what would be an effective way to answer someone, something he used to handle quite cleverly. Even against opponents like Pusha T, who dealt him a significant blow, Drake is increasingly disconnected from the aspects that once made him a formidable force. This current moment we're witnessing is the consequence of all his poor decisions. This decline has led him into a self-parody, jumping on a Sexy Red track, rapping over a beat made by his rival, and defending himself in the silliest way possible, all just weeks after being called out for such pathetic behavior. All things considered, Drake is in complete disarray. His former ability to even make mediocre efforts seem positive, exciting, or humorous now seems lost. Instead, he appears confused, cheesy, and most importantly, consumed by everything that happened with Kendrick, Metro, and others. It's all taking up more and more space in his head. With each passing moment, Drake is inadvertently doing Kendrick and Metro's work for them, bringing their bars to life and fueling the ideas and jokes they created, only giving them more validity. Drake has fallen into the lethal trap that pushes him toward a career-altering moment, something that happens when you stop fighting your opponent and start battling something worse, your own over-explanations and changes in demeanor. From The Hard Part 6 to collaborating with an artist mocked for always being by his side, Drake has turned what could have been a subliminal jab into a moment where it seems he doesn't even realize we're all laughing at him, not with him. This situation is so pathetic that Kendrick and Metro no longer need to respond to Drake in any way. He's no longer fighting them. He's wrestling with the ideas they've planted in his head. Despite his claims of being the chess master who can't be outplayed, they've changed everything about Drake in this moment. As I've said before, I don't think there's a path Drake can take right now that will redeem him in a way that truly restores respect. It would have been best for him to simply lie low, but as it stands now, it looks like he's just going through the motions of features, alluding to these feuds as if he's unscathed by them. However, by referencing them and turning the classic Drake subliminal into an exaggerated, cheesy moment, he keeps adding fuel to an already extinguished fire, making him seem increasingly out of touch. By never stepping back, Drake remains stuck in this limbo state where no matter what he does, he can't escape his own failure. So, let me know what you think of this new Drake feature and how it impacts everything happening around him right now. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Subscribe if you think Lamar has won the battle against Drake. See you soon, my legend.